The dank, the forest. That's beautiful. Greetings, good afternoon. My name is Ezra the Scribe. I'm at Forest Park today, and it's raining, misty, beautiful though, lush and green. On a trail going to the infamous Witch's Castle, and during the video I did say it was damaged by fire, which I did my more research and found out it was due to a storm that destroyed it in the 1960s. But the legend of the Witch's Castle is that in the 1800s there was a homestead not far away, like in the same vicinity, that a couple lived there, and then in some story, I won't go into details, you can do your own research, but there was a murder that happened, and so apparently that area is haunted. And the land got passed on later in the 30s into the Parks and Recreation of Oregon, which then they built a rest stop or a restroom for hikers through the area. And again, in the 1960s, I believe it was 1962, a storm came through and destroyed it, and it hasn't been replaced or fixed, and so it's just a stone structure which looks like a castle in the woods. It's become infamous for people to hike to it, as well as practitioners of spirituality to go there and perform rites. But for us today, it's a hike to go check it out. If you are interested in watching, stay tuned. Hit like and subscribe if you like this stuff, and I will see you soon. So welcome back. Some words of wisdom, well, not words of wisdom, just words of experience, that if you're worked a lot or you're in the city a lot and you're constantly, your nervous system is overstressed, it's so wise to get out in nature, just relax and try to breathe in, well, maybe not the pollen, but try to soak in that calming energy, especially if you can get close to running water. Just the therapy of the sound along with nature itself. It's so healing, so therapeutic, and important for stress, for life, for finding inner peace. What I mean just by walking along a creek or a riverside that flows. You're surrounded by green nature, trees. Just that grounding energy can help out, reduce stress, and kind of get you focused and centered, thinking more about what's important in life, what you need to focus on. And oftentimes it's not external. What you need to focus on is what's in your heart, what's in your passion, what's in your drive, and not every moment has to be survival mode. Not every moment has to be driven by someone external. Some moments can be driven by your personal intention of relaxation and getting some R&R. And I can even take a nap. Let's take a nap. Shoot, you can get a tent or a cot next to a place like this. Take a nap listening to this. Oh man, can help. Stuff like that. It's important to me. That's why I'm here. It's raining outside, and I think it's like 56 degrees, which is not bad. But it's worth getting out and exploring and getting some good nature. Not think about numbers or whatever job you do. You know, shoot. It's picking up trash. You know, you're not picking up trash. It's counting numbers. You're not counting numbers. You're just focusing on the beauty of nature, the creation. And focusing on the path ahead and making sure you don't slip on rocks. Which is very possible. When I came out here in February, there was ice up on those trails up there, which was very slippery. But today, it's mud and rocks, which is not bad. We can do mud and rocks. So, onward I go in a short time. So we're on our way to the witch's castle, and I figure I'd take some clips along the way. It's a little bit of a trek to it, not that far, but along the whole way you get this view of this beautiful creek, and you hear the sound of it. So we're almost halfway there, so I will turn my camera back on once I arrive, and I'll see you there. So years ago, this was from my research, and I could be wrong, but it was like the 20s, 30s. You know, these trails were built, and there were rest stops created along the way, and I think it was might have been the 30s, 40s. But the rest stops were made out of stone, and they're put in the forest for people to use the restroom on the hikes. And this one, which was created back then, over the years got abandoned and no longer taken care of, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a fire, and they just decided not to replace things, not fix it, and so due to that, they ended up just letting it go, and the nature has reclaimed it, and it's like a stone structure in the forest. As you up ahead, we'll be going there shortly, and people have claimed it the witch's castle because it's like a castle in the woods. And fairy tale, if you look at the flora and fauna, me as I speak, it's very whimsical, very Hansel and Gretel, very old mythical tale. And over the years, groups have come out here and used it for those purposes, but mostly it's a tourist attraction. People have claimed it as a tapestry where they can do spray paint art on it, so it is very elaborate in that aspect, but more likely it's something to see, something to to walk to while you're here in Portland. And it's only a 5-minute drive from the heart of the city. It's not far away at all off of the name of that street is leaving me. But if you type in Witch's Castle, it'll pop it up on maps or Wildwood Trail. And it will take you right there. It's only a 5-minute drive from the art museum. I know that because that's my area. But certainly, it's certainly a great to see. Beautiful forest to walk through, and I hope you've enjoyed this too. And I'll be heading on up to the castle. So this is the infamous Witch's Castle. As you can see, it's been decorated. And it's not truly a Witch's Castle, but many cultists in the Portland area have performed rites here. But as you can see, it's the old structure of what used to be a rest area that has been left to slumber, taken over by nature, and gifted a tapestry of art. But it's still a tourist attraction and something to visit while you're here, because it's quite a sight to see when you're surrounded by this lush forest, and then you see this pop out of nowhere. So it's very much beautiful, as you can see, surrounded by this lush forest. Very muddy bottoms, yeah, but I hope you've enjoyed this. So, alright, I'm gonna take another stroll to see some of the underparts. This part, it's a little dark in here. Last time I was here, I did not get in here because there were kids playing in here, but today, here, it's an enclosed section. I think this is where a lot of people come to perform stuff. But today, it's just a place to get your head out of the rain. And the adventure continues.